That's quite impressive, isn't it? Can I just, I've had the pleasure of speaking to most of you, but those of you who don't know me, my name is Bobby. I was here from 1959 to 67, and then was reincarnated and came back as chaplain in 2015. So I'm now on the staff here. I'm speaking today on behalf of the head teacher, Rob Jones, who booked a holiday in Spain a long time ago, and very much regrets not being here, because he said he would very much like to have been, and he would like to be here sharing memories and so on, but I'm here just to deputise for him. So I have some of his words here, which I just give to you very briefly. One thing is, it's a shame that we couldn't arrange this during term time. We did sort of briefly think about it, because it would be interesting for you to be here when the school is functioning, but obviously it's not practicable, and so that's why it's during half term. But had you been here during term time, you'd have noticed quite a few differences. One that hit me as soon as I came back was the clothing that the students wear. You know, the lumber jackets and shorts, as some of us remember, have been replaced by ties and blazers, which I think is a backward step. But I spent a large percentage of my life in management in a comprehensive school, fighting against the encroachment of ties and blazers. I'm pleased to say that when I left my school, there were still open-neck shirts and sweatshirts, which was, I thought, was an achievement on my part. The other thing that struck me when I came here was the fact that there are cars everywhere. Those of you who were here at the same time as we or earlier will remember a site that was almost car-free in the very early 60s. Nowadays, there are, I think, about 150 people on the school staff, added to which you've got a very large number of very large vehicles driving in the middle of the road, up the hill and down twice a day, dropping off their offspring and then collecting again. So it's a very different world, and what it's doing to the environment, I hesitate to think. But just a little bit about the college before I sit down and pass on to somebody else. The sort of questions people ask. We now have 400 students in the college, boys and girls, of course. About a third of those are in the junior school. So the junior school, which started up in the late 1990s, has got about 130 children in it. And it's located sort of in the area above the kitchens where the old manual used to be, and change rooms and things like that, and then that end of the school. 270 students in the senior school are divided into 4 boarding houses, and the day pupils are linked to these houses as well, and that's their social centres. So the school revolves very much around the boarding houses. And there's also a nursery catering for 30 toddlers as well. Much that's special and unique about Rendcomb, I think we've all recognised the Rendcomb we remember can't really be replicated in a school like this, which is mainly day pupils and co-educational. And it's a sort of very different world from the world that those of us remember from the 50s and the 60s. But the school is still a very busy, purposeful place. Meeting all the requirements and ticking all the boxes that's required in the 21st education world, but also still producing outstanding drama. We had a wonderful music concert just before half term, and the head asked me to quickly emphasise that the hockey remains strong, and our girls' first 11 was actually unbeaten this season, which is a real issue. This is quite a demanding fixtures. And of course we still have the wilderness, which provides a wonderful location for forest school for the juniors, and it's also the location of the school BMX track. Just to say finally, the college was inspected 3 weeks ago, and we are not allowed to divulge what the outcome of the inspection was. Apparently, if the school does that, there's a chance they might come to another inspection. So you have to be very careful about it. So the educational bureaucracy are doing whatever they do with it for 6 weeks before it's published, but it will be on the website if you want to have a look in probably 3 or 4 weeks' time. Suffice it to say that the head and head of the junior school will be walking around with a very cheesy grin of things. Rob Jones just asked me to finish by saying that he continues to look to develop what he calls the Rendcomb family in line with the aspirations of Noel Wills. And he said, I should finish by emphasising this, that while the school changes, he still wishes to hold on to as much of the founder's vision as he can. So that's quite reassuring. I know it's quite a genuine sentiment. So that's just what I want to say really, offering his welcome and just give you a little bit of information about the school. I'm going to pass over to Chris in a moment, but before I do, I really want to, on behalf of everybody here, offer a very big thank you to Brian Smith, who's done a fantastic I did a quick check on my computers today and it counted 220 emails that I've received from Brian. I just saw quite a lot of them already, so the number must be well above that. But Brian, you've done a great job and you've been so thorough, and it's just, we're very, very grateful that you served this day.
Thank you very much, Bob. I appreciate that. And thank you to everyone here for being so helpful, cooperative. As I think my friend John Tyler said, like herding cats. But actually, most people were very, very helpful, so thank you. I'm really sad that Bill White is not here today. And also Jane Gunner, who does so much for the society. They were really looking forward to the day. And I just think it's so important they can't be here to celebrate it with us. But I know that Bill will be thinking of us, and so will Jane. I just quickly, before Chris comes on to speak, want to run through the schedule for today, so everyone is clear and give us a few basic essential information. We're not planning a fire drill, so if you hear the fire alarm, get outside. I don't have to tell you where all the doors are, because I think you're pretty familiar with them, but we would meet on the asphalt. Toilets. The ladies' toilet is just through the main hall where the reception was, and just near where used to be the third form common room or the master's room there. There's the ladies' toilet there. The gents' toilet is around by the entrance to the servery of the kitchen.
Sounds like a good lunch.
Yes. Now, Chris will start by giving a sort of 10-minute speech on the contribution of the key individuals to Rendcomb, so he'll follow on with me. Just before lunch, I am going to sound the old bell, which hasn't been rung for a long time, and hopefully will bring back memories to a lot of people. I remember being sort of bells getting someone at the hour to wake everyone up. So lunch will be at 1 o'clock. Hopefully everyone knows their table list where they're sitting. It did have to chop and change a little bit, but basically it's what I circulated to everyone. The starters will be laid out on the tables, and anyone who has the vegetarian option should have a red star on their name and have a vegetarian option in front of them. Before we start lunch, if you could just remain standing, and Bob Eady will say grace. It would have been Bill, but Bob Eady will do his best imitation of Bill. There may be a few spare starters on the the tables, just because one or two people have had to cancel late notice. If there are, please don't leave them, share them amongst yourself in typical Rendcomb tradition. We don't want to waste food. Once the starter is finished, the catering staff will call tables up individually to the servery to collect your main course, and then start on table 1 and work the way back. And we've already selected choices, but if you change your mind, I'm sure there's a bit of flexibility there. And similar procedure with the dessert. Then coffee will follow after that, and there'll be 4 short speeches after that by Julian Cumbery, Stuart Shelswell, David Tyler and Hamish Wilson. And those speeches will be about the positive experiences that those individuals had while they were at Rendcomb and how they helped to shape their lives. After lunch, Nigel Powell is organising a group photograph out on the lawns out here where the cricket nets were, just a bit beyond there. We are trying to recreate a photograph that was taken in 1924, which was a whole school, and pictures of that photograph are on your table, so you'll know what we're trying to aim for. So this is quite a challenge, but there will be 60-odd old Rendcombians in there. With partners, we will ask you remain in the dining room drinking coffee or wander around on the terrace outside. We're just trying to get ORs and guests, including Martin Lee Brown, in the picture. So that will take about 10 minutes or a quarter of an hour. There'll also be group photographs of various age groups, so the 40s, the 50s, 60s, so the various photographs will be taken. And if you take any photographs today, please do let Nigel Powell or someone know, because we'd like to make sure that they're circulated as well or put on the website. After the photos, there will be group tours of the building starting at about 3 o'clock. If anyone doesn't want to go on the group tour, you're very welcome to sit in here, or the library, or somewhere comfortable. So you don't have to go on them, but it will be a short tour lasting about, I don't know, 40 minutes, an hour, just wandering around this stable block and seeing the new buildings. You could also take the walk up through the wilderness, which I gave directions for on an email circular, but basically the entrance for that is at the top of the back drive, and it's a very, very pleasant walk. The wilderness has changed quite a lot. Not so much smoking up there nowadays. Tea will be served at 4 o'clock in here, and something that you haven't been made aware of so far, but our friend Bill Griffiths is going to do a little musical interlude on the piano, and he's got a short song which only lasts about 1 minute, he assures me, which was included in one of the Christmas sketches and was directed by David Sells. So Bill is going to sing that, and we might also get some other stirring stuff like Jerusalem or something like that to send us off with. So I'm going to leave Bill to play that out anyway. So. And then we'll depart from about 4:30 onwards. So that is the procedure we're going to follow. If there's any questions, just see me at lunch or afterwards, but I'm now going to hand over to Chris.
Thank you. It's so good to see you all here today. I know we've all changed a little bit, but I think we're all recognisable. Now, what I'm going to say is about the important people in the development of Rendcomb College in its first 50 years. And it's been formed largely by the thoughts of Bill White, who has been associated with the college for 61 years. Bill taught at Rendcomb from 1961 to 1997. And he has actively supported the OR Society in so many ways. For example, in 1974, he started the ever-popular newsletter, which has grown over the years. And thanks to Jane Gunner, is still thriving, and you should have received your copy by now. He was president of the Society from 2006 until last year, and also Bill compiled the history of Rendcomb College in photographs with me in 2011, and here's the plug. There's a few copies of this publication available for perusal and sale today, and there are other publications as well, and that's at the back of this room, roughly where I remember the stage used to be. Now, as you heard, sadly Bill and Jane can't be here today for health reasons, so I would encourage you, please feel free to contact them and share any photographs of today as well, which they would love to see. Now, the founder, Noel Wills, served in the First World War, and he was very affected by the death of so many young men, as well as the plight of the bereaved families. As a result, he made a huge philanthropic gesture by setting up this school. Not on traditional lines, but as a family society with fees paid by the school. Of course, that was 1920, and the first roll was 12 pupils. Soon applications came in from people who did not fit the entrance criteria, so the school expanded with these new fee payers in 1923. Within 7 years, Noel Wills died, and his brother, Lord Doverton, kept up the educational momentum. Noel Wills and Lord Doverton gave strong leadership to the school, and they appointed J.H. Simpson as the first headmaster, who had taught at Clifton, Charterhouse, Gresham's, and Rugby, and who had strong ideas about self-government, as well as the importance of enterprise and character rather than just knowledge. Hence the formation of the General Meeting, which played a significant role in many of our lives. Canon Henry Sewell, up there, with a big beard, took over as Chairman of Governors on the death of the founder and served the college well for 16 years. He was always most dedicated to the founder's intentions, and there's a John James apocryphal story that this white-haired and bearded gentleman would cycle all the way from Gloucester to Rendcomb for meetings. Thinking of the ascents of Crickley Hill and Rendcomb Hill, Canon Sewell was indeed a man of considerable strength. Colonel John Godman took over as Chairman of Governors in 1943, and the school was again lucky to have a strong leader at the helm, particularly as finances were alarming during and after the war, and the number of entrants became concerning in the 40s. Major Peter Birchall was secured as a governor in 1947, and his connection with the Gloucestershire Education Committee, of which he was to become chairman, was to prove invaluable. In conjunction with Gloucestershire Education Committee, Gloucestershire Foundation scholarships were established, of which some of you are, and I am fortunate to be one. Initially, candidates had to take exams in Shire Hall in Gloucester. You may remember that. But this was changed to sitting papers and being interviewed at Rendcomb. As a result, each year 7 candidates were supported by the local authority on the basis of a means test of parental income. If we understand this correctly, it more or less rescued the college from its financial crisis. Colonel Godman continued to be Chairman of Governors and to take on board a number of people like David Wills, the founder's son. David's behind me. It was David Wills who was instrumental in introducing the idea of Rendcomb going co-educational in the sixth form, which happened in 1972. Had to be the year after I left, of course. Definitely pioneering stuff. Even in old age, Colonel Godman demonstrated a strong presence on the governing body. Bill recalls that in the 70s, the governors wanted to go back to a system of paying the staff every 3 months. Bill and Knapp attended a meeting of the governors and the then Secretary Ian Mitchell about this issue. Colonel Godman, who seemed to be asleep, suddenly became animated and said, when I was a subaltern in the army, I would not have wanted to be paid for 3 months. And so staff were paid monthly thereafter. Rendcomb's longest-serving headmaster, Dennis Lee Brown, had joined the teaching staff in 1926 as a science teacher, and he was appointed as Simpson's replacement in 1932. Of course, he had to deal with the war years, but he presided over a period in which the reputation of the college increased significantly. He was a suitable choice to continue the founder's ideals of producing rounded individuals, and he encouraged extracurricular activities, for example, sailing, making canoes, which some of you may well remember, bell ringing and acting. However, the governors could not persuade Lee Brown to increase numbers above 90 pupils. When Lee Brown became very ill in 1959, Jack Fell got in touch with the governors about the need to replace the ailing Lee Brown. As a result of that, the governors appointed John James as acting headmaster for a year while they found a suitable replacement. In my opinion, one of John James's many important tasks was to appoint a new classics teacher, and he offered the job to Bill White. Now, John James and Bill's father were on the same history examining panel in Cambridge. So John James got on the phone to Bill's father and asked him to persuade Bill to accept the post. Thank goodness he did, because so many Rendcombians have benefited from Bill's excellent teaching. Anthony Quick came from Charterhouse to become headmaster in 1961. The governors wanted to increase the number of pupils in the school and were prepared to provide financial backing for this. Under Anthony Quick's headmastership, the numbers increased from 89 to approximately 160. And during this period, he spent a lot of energy supervising this development, which included the building of the swimming pool, the study block, the new headmaster's house, the art block, the chemistry laboratory, and the conversion of the rectory into a junior house. Much of this was supported by the Dalton Trust and David Wills himself. Anthony Quick also realised that it was important to make more contact with the local people, which he successfully did with the help of his wife Jean. The school took some time to adjust to the change from Lee Brown to Quick, particularly as Anthony Quick could be somewhat eccentric at times. For instance, at the end of a Sunday evening prayers in Big School, right here, he announced that he was banning the singing of Onward Christian Soldiers. And you may remember that it was because of the foot stamping. And in a similar manner, I remember him publicly banning semolina from the lunch menu. I have to say that I did miss Onward Christian Soldiers, not the semolina. The school gradually settled down under this new headmaster, and Anthony Quick moved on just after the first 50 years of Rendcomb. The next 50 years have seen considerable change in terms of buildings, reputation, co-education, day pupils, the addition of a junior school, resulting in the Rendcomb College you see today. We are grateful to these key figures who made this school what it is. And now we look forward to the next 50 years. Thank you.
I'm now going to go and ring the bell. So could I ask that you go out this door, over to that side, into the dining hall and find your table place, and just remain standing there, ready for Bob to say grace. Thank you. Ready? Yes. Thanks.